Hi, my name is Victor. I'm a senior data scientist and an instructor at datainterview.com. Lokesh, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, my name is Lokesh. I'm preparing for data scientist and data analytics interviews.
All right, excellent. Okay, so let's dive into the question portion. So let's say that we want to launch a feature where Dashers pick up FedEx and UPS packages from customers and then take them to FedEx/UPS package stores. What would you think of as a successful product launch in that case?
Okay, cool. Thank you for the question. Let's see. So essentially, this is a new product launch, or actually a new feature launch where users have an option to call Dashers to pick up their FedEx and UPS packages and then take them to the store for them.
Correct.
Cool. Now, to measure a successful product launch, I think I'll look at some of the metrics that can be helpful to define how the product launch is going on, right? So I think in this case, the overall goal is for high-level goal will be for users to use the app to find Dashers who can actually pick up their package and deliver to UPS or FedEx store. Now, I will look at three buckets in this for product success. High level, the three buckets will be the growth of the users, the engagement, and then finally the monetization.
Right.
In the growth bucket, I would look at some of the metrics like maybe the daily active users or weekly active users or monthly active users, depending on how frequently the users do this. Yeah, I'll divide it into three buckets. Growth, which is the daily active users, monthly active users. And then I'll use the other metric I'll use is the sign-up rate. So essentially, in this case, it's more of a product feature usage. So number of users who are using the pickup option, maybe per week, per month as well. So essentially an equivalent of sign-up rate, but mostly feature usage rate, right? And then the
just a question here. Can you delve into just a little bit more detail about what you mean by sign-up rate specifically?
Yes. So when the user opens the app, they will have I'm assuming they will have an option to either order food or order other items that are available. And there's another option where there will be option in the app to use the feature where they can schedule a pickup of their package. So I will track the number of users who are using that feature per month or per day or per week, since usually the packages, maybe they are returning once or twice a month on an average. So it might make sense to track it as usage per month.
Right. Okay.
Cool. And then in terms of engagement, now that engagement is essentially how frequently the users are using the pickup option, right? So I can keep track of that using total number of pickups ordered by users. And then I can also look at the frequency, which is maybe on an average, how many pickups are ordered per month by a user. And then we already talked about the total number of pickups as well. So that's in terms of usage metrics by the engagement for the user.
Okay.
And then finally, for monetization, I can look at the total amount spent by users on ordering those pickups. Essentially, if they are Yeah, so I'll track total revenue generated from this feature by the users.
Okay.
Now that's the user side of metrics. I can also look at maybe the from the dashers, the metrics from the dashers. So how many dashers,
hmm
number of dashers who have made the deliveries. The maybe things like percent completion. Hopefully we have a higher completion. So essentially number of dashers who accepted and delivered those packages to UPS and FedEx. And then also the revenue, additional revenue that dashers are earning because of this option, right? So other than delivering the groceries and prepared food, what is the income that dashers are earning because of this new feature?
Okay. Additional dasher income.
Yeah.
And you said one other metric. Can you repeat that metric again?
Percent completion. So out of number of times they accept, how many times they are able to complete, right? This is a new option, and I want to track that they have the necessary tool and understanding of the process to be able to complete the return.
Okay. So how would you calculate that?
So that will be calculated using number of successfully returned packages divided by total number of requests accepted by the dasher. So if a dasher accepts, they should be able to pick up and return the package to the FedEx and UPS at close to 100% rate.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think this gives kind of a good high-level overview. We've got the growth, we've got the engagement, we've got the monetization of defining success, and we've also got product launch success. We also got the dasher side of metrics. So let's go into a bit more detail about some of these. Maybe I'm curious to hear more details about the growth side of things, very specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I think for growth, we looked at daily active users. Let's pick maybe monthly active users in this case. How many users are able to order the dasher to pick up their packages? Now, when you say actually you want to dive deeper into the growth numbers, are we looking at deeper definition of the metric or something else?
Yeah, let's talk about deeper definitions of the metrics. I'm also curious to hear, at what point would you consider the growth, successful? Like, how would you define success in this specific case for growth of the feature?
Yeah, so this is a new feature. So a couple of clarifying questions. So is this a feature launch as in are we starting with 0 users, or do we have some users already and we are defining those metrics?
Yeah, that's a good question. So as of 2023, we can say that DoorDash, has already had something like 35 million monthly active users in their other products.
Yes, and then this is a new feature we have launched, or is it before the launch we are understanding how best to measure the success?
That's a good question. So let's do the first question first, which is before the launch, and then we'll go into after the launch.
Got it. So I mean, before the launch, I think we have defined the growth metrics, and maybe we can look at the clear definition of the metrics, and then maybe what we expect in terms of setting the targets and expectation for achieving these metrics. Does it make sense?
Right.
Got it. Okay. So now in terms of growth metrics, we have, let's say, monthly active users, and the adoption rate. Instead of sign up rate, I might use the adoption rate, because this is users who are adopting, number of users using the pickup options per month. Okay. So in terms of monthly active users, I'm guessing that this feature will probably, the launch process will be, we launch in one location, maybe start with one city and expand expand by region. And then while we are launching in every region, keep track of these metrics, get user feedback, and maybe make changes and improve the product. In terms of success in this case, for the monthly active users and adoption, I can say that when the feature is launched, I think it depends on how much the team's plans to spend on maybe marketing or advertising to make people aware of that. That will drive how the adoption progress. But I'll make some assumptions here that DoorDash will do medium level of marketing and maybe in-product notification for users to know about this new feature that is being launched. Based on that, I will say the product team can make an assumptions that in the first month, maybe, and this is my assumption here, like 1% of the users will make use of this new feature.
Okay.
And then gradually, I think as the users understand the value of this, we want to keep track of the retention and engagement. So how frequently they use the feature, and hopefully through continued advertising notification for users who are not using it, we can keep a linear increase in the number of users who are using this feature. Actually, I will say, like, initial adoption might be higher and then the growth will be linear. So maybe in the first month, we have like 2 to 3% adoption, and then every month after that, 1% additional 1% adoption of the users. And in this, I'm expecting the growth to be slightly faster sooner, and then tapers down and become maybe linear after first few months.
Okay. And when you say adoption here, maybe can you be very specific about this? Do you mean the total number of unique users divided by who have adopted the product, who have actually how do you define adoption rate very specifically?
Yeah, that's true. The adoption will be monthly active users who use this package pickup option divided by total number of monthly active users on the app who use any of the Dasher service, any of the DoorDash service.
Okay. All right, that's good. Over MAUs. Okay. And it's this metric that you expect to be, say, 2 to 3% in the first month.
And then maybe 1% after that. And eventually it will taper down to whenever, maybe in this case, not everyone will use this feature, but maybe like the goal could be like maybe 60% of the users use the delivery of the pickup option.
After a while, you expect it to get to a much higher rate, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that will depend on maybe the data analysis of how many of the Dasher of the users of the app actually have the need for package returns. It will also depend on how many users use, depending on where they live. Like, do they live very close to UPS and FedEx, office, if they are super close, they might not use the option, but if they are a little bit far, they might use the option. So that can, some of these signals can help define what should be the ultimate goal for this feature.
Huh. Okay. So I'm curious about this specific thing, this specific idea here, that if users are super close to FedEx, maybe they don't, or UPS, maybe they don't use it as often. How would that impact the adoption rate?
Yeah, so in this case, I think the calculation will be if maybe we can pick a threshold, right? Like maybe 1 mile is something like a distance where people can maybe even walk or do a quick drive to return the package. They may not want to order Dasher because this is super close. The other factor will be, so we can use that to like exclude the number of users who may not use the option. The second factor in calculating the adoption would be the open hours for those locations. So maybe the closest FedEx office is close by, but it's open only from 9 to 5, and that's the typical time when people also go to office. So I can use that as another factor where even if some of the people who are living close, they may also still use the service. So I'm not going to exclude everyone who is living within that 1 or 2 mile range, whatever my threshold is in this case. And
Okay.
then the third factor I'll use here is something like not only just the location, where their home address, but also like their office or their commute. So some people like do return when they go to office or in office. There is facility in office to return those. So you take the package to office and return it. So I will reduce those users as well, and maybe use the estimation of how many people actually just return their packages in office or on their way to office. So those are some of the factors which will determine I can use that as an input in calculating the ultimate adoption rate for this product feature.
Okay. I like all of that. I like where that's going. So let's say, okay, so what we're at right now is we have an adoption rate. And let's say that we've rolled it out to one city. So we have all the data for one specific city. All right. Let's say we have the adoption rate of, say, and it's what you say, 2 to 3% in the first month, 1% adoption otherwise in that city.
Yeah.
How do we now size the size of the entire business opportunity for DoorDash? So, this is the standard thing. So the manager comes to you and says, what's the potential impact and sizing for the entire, if we roll this out to all users on DoorDash?
Got it. Cool. So I have few questions here. So if you launch it one city, what is the population for that city?
Let's say that it's a medium-sized city, so you can come up with any number you'd like.
Yeah. So yeah, let's say this is a city of maybe like DoorDash operates in larger metropolitan areas, which many of them have higher number of people than on average US city. So I'll go with slightly higher number, let's say 5 million users, 5 million residents in that city. The other data will be useful is in that city, how many users actually use DoorDash app every month? So what are the monthly active users in that city?
Right. Let's say that. So let's say that that there's like 1 million monthly active users in that specific city.
Got it.
So 35 million. There's 35 million monthly active users on DoorDash, and 1 million of those 35 million are in that specific city where this product has been launched. And to recap again, we've measured that the adoption rate is about 2 to 3%, and we do see that there's a 1% adoption afterwards, month over month. So then how would we
And
estimate the impact for the business?
And one more clarifying question is, we are looking for adoption like after 1 year or after how much time after the launch?
That's a very good question. Let's say that we want to estimate the annualized impact for DoorDash's business.
Got it. Okay. Cool. With this data, I think I'll start doing the calculation, maybe make some assumptions.
Okay.
Then I'll start writing down here as well.
Okay.
So we have 1 million DAU. Population is 5 million. And then based on the assumption, let's say we have, let's be conservative here. So 2% in first month. And 1% after that for each month, which gives me 2 plus 11, around 13% adoption after 1 year.
Okay.
Now this is very rough calculation. I think I'm not using the other factors, but that is another way to calculate, where we look at those factors that we discussed. Now I'll use one more bucket here, like maybe some of the users who do not use it for prepared delivery, but if they know about this option, they might use it just for this option, right? So like there are 1 million users who are using it for prepared food deliveries and groceries. But then there might be users who need this just for returns, because they might live close to the restaurant, or they might be cooking at home, or many other reasons. So there is additional bucket outside of those 1 million DAUs who will just sign up for only for the delivery option. And that might be the small set, but I'll include that as well in this. And let's say that.
I like that point. That's a good point to make here, which is new users who are perhaps, brought on board to DoorDash because of this specific thing. Maybe they're customers from other competitors, but now they've seen that they can get their packages delivered, and they perhaps move over to DoorDash because of that. So new users is also a portion of this.
Exactly.
So I want to let you keep going. I want to make sure that so just to be 100% certain here, what we want to do is I'll write out the question maybe very specifically. What's the overall impact what's the overall financial impact on the business?
Yeah.
Seeing the data for rollout of package delivery, picking packages. So this is the question that we're trying to answer right now, that I'm looking for an opportunity sizing on. What's the overall financial impact on the business, seeing the data for rollout of taking packages to FedEx/UPS in one city?
Yeah, so based on this assumption, now we have around 13% users after 1 year, 2% maybe additional users who are not, and they come on DoorDash. So that gives me 15% of 1 million. That is 150 users who are using this pickup option.
Okay.
I'm going to assume that every pickup and return, for simplicity of the calculation, is let's say it's $. Do we have any numbers, like on an average, what do we expect? Or I can make the assumption like it's $7 or $8.
Yeah, let's say it's a $7 fee, sure, or a $7 cost, sure, to the user.
Got it. And then part of it goes to Dasher and part of it goes to DoorDash. So can we do a 5-2 split? $5 goes to Dasher and $2 goes to, unless we have any numbers on that.
That sounds reasonable to me.
So for DoorDash, I think it's the revenue will be $2 into the 150K users, which is $100K revenue, and for Dasher, this will be additional 5-star 150.
So this would be the calculation of the total revenue to the business for this one city. But now let's say that the product manager is saying we want to roll this out to all cities. So how can we project out to the impact on all cities?
Got it. So if we make the assumption that we have similar adoption across all cities, then in that case, the calculation will be each city's population, each city's Dasher users. So for each city is like sum over each city users multiplied by 15% adoption multiplied by $2 for each delivery. Now this is I think one more thing here is this is $2 each, but if we are assuming that it's 1 per month, then we multiply it by 12 to get the full year revenue. Right?
So what's the assumption there?
So assuming one users are doing 1 pickup per month, so they will do 12 pickup for the month.
Okay.
Right? So that will be the per city. It will be 36.
Okay, let's make that assumption really clear here. Assumption: users use new feature once a month. Okay.
That becomes 3.6 million.
Okay.
Per city. And then if we do that for every city, which will essentially depends on how many users are in each city. Now, total is 35 million, right? So we can use that. So 35 million, 15% adoption. So 15% adoption, and then $2 per delivery, and into 12 will be my total opportunity size, very, very high level. This should be, if I do this 1545, 50, rough calculation will be 50 million into 24, which is 120 million annualized.
120 million annualized profit after DoorDash or after Dasher fees.
Yeah, so revenue with $2 coming from each.
Okay. Is there, so in this impact sizing calculation that we've got here, saying, look, if we roll this out to every city, we're going to get about $120 million worth of annualized revenue. Is there other things is there anything else that we should consider?
So that's the revenue number. There is cost, right? In terms of to calculate the profit, there is cost factor also.
Okay.
Should we look at the cost as well, or what are maybe look at other factors? Under cost factors, the other piece is increased demand. So do we have Dashers to meet the increased demand? We may need more Dashers, and making sure it's not impacting the other businesses like prepared food delivery. If you don't have enough Dasher, it may have a spillover impact on other businesses.
Mhm.
The other, we can look at how do we optimize the routing, because now if you're doing pickup, dashers may be able to do pickup and drop off of the packages as well. So they pick up food, take it to the user, and they pick up the package as well. So that way it's the revenue per user will increase, but at the same time, it's the more efficient routing algorithm as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit more in detail. How would you go about, estimating the impact on the cost side of the business as well? Because
So I
I
think
like this idea that you're mentioning, right, which is that there's a finite number of dashers available, right? So once you start asking folks for FedEx for them to take your packages to FedEx, now there's increased demands on the number of dashers available, right? So let's chat about that a little bit more in detail.
yeah, so I think the cost, there are multiple buckets for the cost.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously the development and deployment, and all the costs to create the feature. Then there is dasher recruitment. I think dasher recruitment cost might include like recruitment drives,
Mm-hmm.
additional incentive,
Mm-hmm.
recruit more drivers, and other costs associated with the dasher, and the marketing cost of like marketing the feature.
Mm-hmm. By marketing the feature in this case, you mean marketing it to dashers?
So this
Marketing
is
it
both
to-
actually. It's actually marketing cost here is marketing to the users, and there is additional incentive and marketing. I can put marketing here for dasher marketing as well. Additional recruitment drive essentially includes marketing as well, but all the costs associated with the dasher recruitment is here, and the marketing, this is for user, and then feature development is all the engine related cost.
Okay.
Now you asked me like for the dasher side, like if you look at the cost, maybe like there is a so maybe we estimate the dasher recruitment cost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I think this is good. I think you've given a good set of ideas of what the cost side would be. We've got feature development, engineering related costs. We've got dasher recruitment. We've got the marketing costs. I like this. Can we chat? So another question for you here is, okay, so let's say that all of those costs are calculated and it still turns out that the revenue is really good. How do we, and the feature has now been launched everywhere. Okay, so now we've launched it everywhere to all the different customers all across the United States. How do we now define product launch success? So we've done the mini test at one city. So now the CEO comes in and he asks the question, what are the 3 top metrics that you're tracking to be sure that this product has launched, and you have, let's say, 2 or 3 months worth of data where it's been launched to all the cities. How do you define, what are the top 3 metrics that you want in a dashboard for the CEO to take a look at?
got it. Okay, so I'll look at the 3 metrics if I have to pick. I'll definitely, one of them will be daily active users who are using this feature.
Mm-hmm.
Monthly active users, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't return every day. The other metric I will use is the engagement.
Okay.
Actually, monthly active user will be the engagement. The other one I'll use is monetization.
Okay.
So total revenue
Mm-hmm.
from this feature.
Mhm.
And then maybe third one in this case will be net new users it's bringing.
Hmm.
So net new signups. Essentially keep track of like, is this feature bringing new users who might actually then start using other DoorDash feature services like food delivery.
Hmm. Okay. How would you measure this metric precisely?
Yes, so this will be number of new users per month using only pickups.
All right. What about a fulfillment feature that might be useful in this case? To report to the CEO.
Yeah, at high level, I think CEO will probably be interested in number of pickups completed per month, and hopefully we see a increase in that.
Mm-hmm. Right, because if the pickups that are being assigned are not being completed, right, the feature is not working, right?
Yeah. So earlier we talked about completion rate,
Mm-hmm.
which is equal to successful completion divided by total accepted pickup.
Okay. I like this. Okay, so let me ask the last question here. So let's say that it's been launched and everything, and so here's the last question for you. Let's put it down here to the next page. Okay, so now you launch the feature, and you see more help tickets are being filed. How would you go about investigating this?
So more help tickets filed by who? What are the help tickets?
That's a good question. So let's say that they're just more help tickets are being filed by, the customer service department says that the total number of help tickets that they've seen is now increasing after the feature has been launched to everybody.
And the help tickets are coming from users.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think in this case, do we know if the tickets are coming for the pickup? Like, do they have an option in the subject line, or when they create the ticket, do they indicate which feature are they using?
Yeah, let's say that some of the customers are indicating that it's coming from that they're customers who are using the new FedEx UPS delivery service.
Got it. I think I will look at in this case to investigate this. I will look at some of the ticket attributes, right? Whenever the user creates ticket, probably they are telling which feature it is about. Maybe they are also telling like type of issue. Like, is it like did the delivery didn't happen, or they didn't get the notification? Is this the system issue or the process issue? The other thing I'll look at is like, is it related to maybe is it related to UPS or FedEx? Maybe it's related to just one of the delivery options. And then I'll look at
it's related to both UPS. I like where you're going with this. Let's say it's related to both UPS and FedEx. Can you detail what you mean by system or process issue?
the system issue would be like maybe the app is not telling users what happened, or like it's not easy to like use that feature. So things like they didn't see the option, or they didn't know what happened. They were not getting notification. So it's essentially like feature gap in the feature or bug. And then process issue is like they didn't get the receipt or the tracking number, or not the driver didn't tell them like did they deliver it or not, or they had confusion on what happened in terms of understanding of how the delivery is done. So that will help tell me what is the next step. Should we improve the product? Should we have a better documentation or frequently asked questions, and something like help with the understanding?
Okay, that looks good to me. Okay.
And then the other piece I'll say is like, then we can track, like depending on how many tickets, maybe this can go into the cost of the cost analysis as well, because then we may be hiring new people to answer those tickets and answer those questions.
Okay, so now that we are done with the question portion, let's delve into some feedback in the feedback portion. And then for those of you who are watching this, if you want access to the full video, including the feedback, please visit datainterview.com to unlock the content.